Welcome back to today's video. I'm playing skylines in today's video. We're going to be doing more development in our city here, and we're going to be putting in a brand new neighborhood and doing the very first complete loop of our tram line. And this will be the first loop of it. This won't be the complete route a complete route, but this will be the first turnaround loop of our light rail system. And then inside of this whole entire loop, there will be a ton of urban development, mostly homes, but we will have a good amount of businesses. And then I did also put a cut through in for the express line, just to allow it to skip past the 3 extra stops that the not local line has, or the not express line has in this area, and just allows for it to go a whole lot faster. And then instead of having 4 stops here in this area, it only has 2. And one of them is directly in the city center, and then also at the little merge point for both of them where they both have a stop. So they're both in really good positions. The more local one goes more in out of way places where there ain't as many people going to. And so I just did a ton of road networks around here. So we have a road going around the outside that follows the highway here. And I really love how this highway is made with how it contours to the land. And then I also did put a grid inside of our loop. But there is some parts that do follow the tram line, or not the tram line, but our light rail loop tracks. Then I did look into putting a bridge over the highway to then cross onto that hill there. I do want to eventually put some kind of development up there, but for now we don't got that. And then I also put in a temporary tram depot since we could get our tram lines running again, since I did get rid of the original temporary one. And then I did just redo our express route for our trams. And so no trams actually use that small little section there, but it would just be there just to allow trams to skip by that one little part that goes out from there. And wouldn't really be used. It probably be mostly just used for when they need to move trams, or trains, trams, whatever you want to call it, around. But I got to work on zoning this area. Near our tram stops, I put a lot of commercial. Not so near our tram stops, I put mostly residential. And then on this one little main street in here where the tram does go street running, I purposely put tons of leisure and commercial in here. Development, so this way we could just attract as many people as possible into there, because obviously this would be the city center for this area. And then I also did put an additional stop here, so it is actually 4 stops that it is bypassing, I believe. No, it's actually 3, I think. Or yeah, it's 4. I don't know, but it skips quite a few stops to the express line, which is obviously very good for our trams here. And I continued with the emerging downtown content creator pack buildings in here. I really love how these buildings are turning out for the city. They fit it very well, and I think they just look really nice too, so we're going to continue using them. And I then put in connections in for our main stop where both the local and the express line stop in this area for our light rail. And I also cleaned up the terrain and added in trees all around this area too. And then to add, or at least start, our industrial complex, at least for forestry, which is probably going to be the main industry on this island. Might be a bit of farming, but it's pretty much all going to be forestry and fishing. But to start off, I put in this small little forest area, and this is just all 3 greenhouses, all for tree saplings. So it isn't really too invasive. And it isn't a big a big area to this taking up either. I did put in a small little log yard just to help store our wood. And this will just start to give us an industry for people to work in, and also for us to start making money off of in Paradise. And also then we can also get this economy more so going, and that it isn't based off all tourism, and just it will have some kind of industry in it to help drive it beyond tourism. So this obviously isn't a big step towards that, but it definitely is a start, and a start is better than nothing, let's be honest. So yeah, and I also really like how this looked on the side of the hill here. I think it turned out really nice. And then I also came back over here to then add in some more buildings and check on how they were turning out. If they didn't really turn out too much, I did change around the zoning and how big they were, or how small they were. It all kind of differed on the size of the building and how they were. And then I got to work on the other side of our light rail, where we worked on the last episode, or not the last episode, or wait, yeah, last episode, sorry. But last episode we started over with this over here, and then I got to work on, or no, I didn't get to work on anything else after that. That was the last thing we did. But continuing our grid over here along, this will eventually terminate into the highway again, and that will be pretty much the end of this development in terms of for this section of the island. And then we'll have 2 more sections after we finish up this one. But this, it's pretty much all gridded, and then I decided to put in our police and fire in here. And I just did the small little countryside ones, or yeah, I believe it's countryside ones, or I don't know which ones they are, or no, it's the like alpine ones. They're tiny buildings, but they fit in pretty nice with the rest of the buildings around here. So I believe they turned out really nice and for the area here, and I do hope you agree with that. And then I put in a bunch of more residential and commercial in here, and then I also put in a restaurant in here just to kind of tie it all together, and then also give us a place to start our paths for a little park in here. And then this is kind of all I really did in terms of for the last bits of this episode. I did put in temporary high schools and universities, since we could get the city working without any business complaining about not enough educated workers. And then I put in trees and stuff and expanded our districts to make sure this all was the emerging downtown content creator pack. But here's the final product. I hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't, make sure to subscribe. Do this next one. Bye!